Welcome to another episode of VXI Conversations. This, I can tell you, we're in for another interesting discussion for today. By the way, your host here, Jamie Fournier. In the previous episode, we've learned about the importance of career advice in one's professional growth and advancement. As they say, no man is an island, and it certainly holds true in the workplace. For today, this being our second episode, we're daring to go all out as we try to decipher perhaps the most polarizing topic to grace our podcast yet. Please allow me to introduce and welcome our guest for today, none other than Director for Site HR Operations, Jeffrie Victorino. Hi, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Jamie. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to start this conversation with you, and I'm so grateful that you found the time to be with us. Before we begin, let's talk about you. Can you introduce yourself to everyone listening in on this conversation and specifically discuss your experience in the BPO industry and VXI Philippines specifically?
Sure, Jamie. So again, my name is Jeffrie Victorino. I'm one of the directors for site HR operations here in VXI. I currently handle two of our Davao sites, namely Davao Delta and Davao Robinsons. And here in Quezon City, I also handle and oversee our Bridgetown site and also our Clark Pampanga site. I've been with VXI for 14 years now, and I've been part of the BPO industry for roughly 19 years.
Amazing. 19 years in the BPO industry, 14 years of which in VXI Philippines. We have so much to learn from you. And with that said, let's jump into our discussion for today. When I kicked off our episode, Jeff, I said we're probably going to talk about the most polarizing topic to grace the podcast yet. Now, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. What would you give preference to, Jeff? Salary or job title?
Wow, I'd have to admit that that really is not an easy question to answer. We really have to provide context first before we can do so. Um, I can
Mm,
say that determining preference depends on what a person really values and what his aspirations and priorities are in life. It also highly depends on the current status that he has or a current position that he has. One example that I can give here, Jamie, is a person who has just graduated from college, right? So
mhm.
normally, a fresh graduate would choose or would be applying for a job aligned with what he took and completed in school. And sometimes
Mhm.
in this process, getting a first job and gaining more experience matters more than getting a high starting salary. But it still depends on factors like, you know, achievements in school, probably, uh, educational background, the financial status that the person has, his aspirations, passion, and priorities. Also, I can give another example, which is a person who already has a significant amount of tenure working, right? So in this
Mhm.
scenario, considerations will totally be different, right? So in this case, of course, the current skill set that the person has would play a vital role now. The milestones and the milestones achieved of the person and the goals that he has in his professional growth, right? Or professional
Mhm.
career, that is, right? Now, in general, if we talk about salary and job title, right, normally salary would be chosen if the responsibilities of the person would be considered towards probably his family or
Yeah.
himself, right? It
Mhm.
is normal for someone to aim to probably open a bank savings account, perhaps, or purchase a house and lot, a brand new car, or even as simple as clothing, right? If you
Yeah.
want to buy new shoes, probably a new watch, or even the latest trends in technology, right? Cell phones or gadgets. So again, if a person would want to focus on that, or if that's the person's priority, then salary would definitely be chosen, right?
Mhm.
Now, if it's job title that we will be talking about here, that definitely would reflect your desire for professional growth and development, as well as your passion. Now,
Mhm.
given those things or those things being said, I think based on my current situation and the circumstances surrounding me, I can say that I'll be choosing job title or a higher responsibility to be exact. Because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, if I choose that, it will definitely affect the remuneration part of the job.
So everything else will follow. I love
Yes.
that. Thank you so much, Jeff. It's a great reminder. You actually took me back to my first few years in the BPO industry where I was in a training class listening to another trainer, and she said something that really struck me and I remember up until this very day. She was saying, "Know your motivation." It isn't wrong if your motivation is money. That's okay. You may need it for your family, for yourself, even for clothing. As long as you know what drives you, that will keep pushing you to move forward. So, thank you for reminding us of that. Know your situation, your life aspirations, your priorities in life. And that will help you choose the next step and choose what's more important to you, salary or job title. And thank you as well, Jeff, for specifically sharing what's important to you at this point of your career. I love what you said. If you follow your passions in life and in this industry as well, everything else will fall into place. Now, do you think, though, that these two variables play complementary roles in the life of an employee?
Well, yes, yes, definitely. The two variables are complementary. As mentioned, Jamie, with my choice of job title, right? So I said that if I choose job title, definitely it would affect the remuneration part of the job, right? And this is most
Mhm.
especially if you're working in a company that provides a total compensation program commensurate to the value of its employees in the organization and their contribution to the business, like VXI, right? Truth is, one of the things that I'm really proud of here, Jamie, is that one can have both salary and job title when he or she builds his or her career here in VXI. Um, we also mentioned that people would have different priorities, right? So
Mhm.
for someone who wants to grow in the call handling career, because not everyone would prefer to probably be promoted, right?
Yeah.
So for someone who wants to grow in the call handling career, we have the agent career progression program wherein a consistent high performance will make you eligible for promotion. And of course, if you're
Mhm.
promoted, it will entail a change in salary, right?
Love it.
And
Yeah.
what's great here is that we also have a quarterly pay for performance program to support that part, which is salary, right? It rewards
Mhm.
excellence of it rewards excellence or your efforts to meet your goals. So if now if you are motivated by professional growth, VXI
Mhm.
has various career tracks that you can choose from, right? So there's this operations leadership track if you want to stay in operations, so you can be an SME or subject matter expert. You can be a team leader, an operations manager, even an associate director or director, right? Now, if
Yeah.
you would want to focus on, or if you don't really want to stay in operations, if you think your passion is more on like training people, then we have the support group track, right? So the
Mhm.
support group track, as mentioned, that includes training, that includes HR, recruitment, IT, right? So there. Um, yeah,
There's so many career opportunities in VXI Philippines. And, I want to emphasize that, Jeff, because especially for those without experience in the BPO industry, that's something that you should know. You can figure out what drives you in life, what your passions are, and a lot of opportunities will be there for you to conquer in this industry. As you said, it isn't only in operations, there are support departments you can be a part of. If you love interviewing applicants, there's recruitment. If you love training individuals, there's a training department as well. So, major points you mentioned there: agent career progression, pay for performance program. This is something I boast about, Jeff. I have experience in the BPO industry, yes, but now I'm more focused on hosting and the radio industry. But I do boast about the BPO industry to everybody I know. This is what I say: you get what you put in. There's always room for improvement, and once you give it your best, there's a corresponding growth in your salary as well. So, as you've
that's
been
true.
pointing out, everything falls into place. So, thank you for sharing that. Now, I want to know about your story in this industry, Jeff. 19 years. Wow, that's amazing. And then 14 years of that in VXI Philippines. What was your first role in VXI, and how did you figure out where you wanted to be, and how did you grow from that first role? Please share your story.
Sure, Jamie. I started as part of the training team in VXI. So I was part of the core skills training group wherein we handle communications and culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with my journey and my career in VXI, from training, I transitioned to the organization and leadership development section of HR. Um, it's kind of the same because what you do in training, you also do in OD and leadership
Mm-hmm.
development, right? So when after being given the chance to manage and head the OD and leadership training group of the company, I then transitioned to the total rewards and HR technology section of HR. Um, I am really passionate also in terms of technology. So uh, I think that helped a lot in terms of me being able to be successful in that particular role. Then after that, I was also given the chance and assigned to manage the HR nearshore region of VXI, specifically Jamaica and Guatemala. Right.
Wow.
After that stint, then I'm now back handling and managing the Philippine sites that I mentioned.
Amazing. You truly are where you want to be. You made it happen, Jeff, and you continue to shine in this industry and in this company. And as you mentioned, with your career decisions, everything else falls into place. So I know that that will serve as an inspiration to everybody listening in on this conversation, as it has served as an inspiration for me. Now, let's go back to our topic for today, though. We're talking about salary and job title. Now, how should one decide which matters more between the two? What would your advice be for those figuring out what weighs more between the two, Jeff?
it I think it really all boils down to you knowing exactly what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
um Let me borrow this habit from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Begin with an end in mind. You should always have a goal. You should always
Mm-hmm.
think of where you are right now and where you want to be. Probably we can say that doing or having a self reflection would definitely be able to help you. You can ask yourself, what are my life goals? What do I really value in life? What is
Mm-hmm.
important for me if I'm just starting my career to be able to build credibility and be successful in the future? Or simply just knowing, how do you personally define success, right? Do you
Mm-hmm.
think you are successful if you're able to provide for your family, or if you're able to buy the things that you want or the things that you need, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think you are more successful if you're able to do your passion? Say you want to sing, you want to host like you, right? Or you want to be part of the human resources wherein you help people, assist people, right? um
Mm-hmm.
so when you're finally able to define those things that I mentioned, then deciding which matters more will be a piece of cake.
I love that. I will definitely remember that line, begin with an end in mind. And again, thank you for sharing that. It's so important to internalize and figure out your motivations in life, and your set of questions truly help with that. What are my life goals? What do I value? What is important for someone who's starting to build a career? And more importantly, how do you define success? That's one of the biggest questions we can answer. So thank you for sharing these questions with us, Jeff. Now, in the Filipino culture, when you know what you want, I can't generalize, but I speak for myself and I'll speak for those who feel the same. It's a bit difficult to ask for what you want at times. Like, how do you ask for what you think is a salary you deserve or the job title you think you deserve, Jeff? What would your advice be for individuals who are trying to figure out how they can share that with individuals around them?
Okay, well, this is kind of funny because for you to do that successfully, you have to know how to sell yourself or market
Mm,
yourself, to be more politically correct, I think. um, you have to do that, well, not to boast but to put on the table what you can offer, right? You
mm,
have to be ready to share your career success stories and showcase the skills that you've mastered, as they are very essential, right? More often than not, hiring managers will be looking for someone who has the experience and proven track record and the right
mhm.
character attributes. So if you're able to establish that, probably discuss that to whoever, your boss, the hiring manager, then I think you'd be able to get the salary that you deserve and the job title that's really for you.
Know your worth and market your worth, market yourself. That's something that
Yes.
should really be done if you want to grow in this industry or in any industry for that matter. Now, let's be more specific here in terms of our topic for today, Jeff. Now, any nuggets of wisdom you can share with an aspiring BPO employee who's torn
Mm.
between a job that pays well or another one that defines the role better? How would they choose which one is which for them?
Well, I think one can start by choosing an opportunity that will enable them to grow or enable one to grow his career, and financial rewards will definitely follow.
You are the perfect example of that, right? Figure out your motivation and pursue your passions, and everything else will fall into place. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jeff. I know that a lot of our viewers and listeners have truly learned a lot from your answers for today's episode. And speaking of our viewers and listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us. Please remember, whatever you decide to give preference to, whether it's salary or job title, remember that your career's trajectory is entirely up to you. And the possibilities are endless. So go explore and strive to create a career that will not only support your living, but will make life worth living. Again, our biggest thanks to Jeffrie for spending time with us today. Jeffrie, before we let you go, may I ask you to share a few words for our listeners and viewers out there?
Well, first, again, thank you, Jamie, for having me. I just hope that I was able to address the question for this episode. I hope that I was able to share useful information to all the viewers and listeners of VXI, um, of this podcast, right? So thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Jeff. We have truly learned a lot from this discussion, and you have definitely addressed our biggest question for today. And thank you for sharing your story as well. I speak for everyone when I say you are an inspiration. So, a big thank
Thank
you
you.
once again. So, VXI Philippines is inviting all of you to join our growing family. Get first dibs on the latest career opportunities on our official pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and TikTok at VXIPH. Also, send in your resume at careersph at VXI.com. Candidates with or without BPO experience are very much welcome to apply, provided they are a graduate of at least high school, old curriculum, or senior high school with good English communication skills. Wow. I can't believe we've come to the end of this episode, but don't you worry. We'll come back with more conversations for all of you. This is once again your host, Jamie Fournier, signing off for now. Take care, and we'll see you on the next VXI Conversations. Bye, everybody. Bye, Jeff.
Bye.